Food, cars, energy, finance and chemicals are some of the sectors affected by the free trade negotiations between the European Union and the United States, known as TTIP. The EU's Committee of the Regions debated during its plenary session.
O acordo que está a ser negociado entre Bruxelas e Washington.
The agreement being negotiated by Brussels and Washington aims to eliminate customs tariffs and to harmonize importation regulations. Its supporters claim the European economy could earn €120 billion per year due to the integration of a market of 800 million consumers. But critics say it could lead to lower food quality and safety standards and weaker social and workers' rights.
Sociais e laborais.
Tariffs are already low, averaging 3%, so it's estimated that 80% of the potential gains will come from cutting red tape. Chemicals is a top sector in EU-US trade, representing more than 20% both in imports and exports, with pharmaceuticals representing half of that. The European pharmaceuticals lobby says there will be no bad effects.
Today the standards are essentially the same. This is about removing duplication. The biggest benefit will be that we can bring new medicines to patients faster by simplifying the regulatory procedures without lowering the standards. Secondary benefit will be for particularly our smaller companies. My big members, they can manage all this regulatory bureaucracy. But small companies from Europe or the US will find it easier to find money, investors, if there's a clear pathway to reach both the US and the European markets.
Food quality and safety is a more controversial issue in terms of public opinion, even though the sector represents around 5% of the bilateral trade. More local and sustainable food supply chains are advocated by environmentalist groups who highlight lower standards in the US.
The EU has banned 82 different pesticides, toxic chemicals, which are still in use in the US. When it comes to amount of residues of pesticides that can be found in food sold to consumers. In some cases, the EU has limits which are 100 times more stricter than in the US. The chemical company has been consistently asking the EU and the US authorities to make sure that the EU would drop its residues limits.
Levels of pesticides and other additives are not the only concern. A window might open for food products now forbidden in the EU, like growth hormone-treated beef or genetically modified corn. But industry representatives say they have guarantees this will not be the case.
Apart from the GMOs that you've mentioned and the hormones that you've mentioned, which have been banned in Europe, and this ban will be maintained, there are other areas where we can find compromise. At the end of the day, it's a benefit for the consumers because they have more choice and it costs less.
More than 99% of all European businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, but will they benefit considering the competition from powerful multinationals? Among other issues, the EU Committee of the Regions is concerned about the investor-state dispute settlement, a parallel legal system for corporations to sue states for laws that affect business revenue.
Ich glaube, die Kommission muss bei TTIP genauso wie bei CETA und auch bei anderen.
I think the Commission should renounce such mediation mechanisms in TTIP, especially in the case of two entities like the US and the EU, who do have strong jurisdiction and good courts. We don't need such mechanisms.
Brauchen wir solche Streitbeilegungsmechanismen nicht?
This is one of the issues strongly opposed by Germany and France, the two biggest Eurozone economies. Invited to the debate at the Committee of the Regions plenary session, the EU Commissioner for Trade admits the deal will not be closed by the end of the year, as hoped.
We are aiming at finalising this during the Obama period, if that is possible. I am aware that there's a lot of scepticism, but there was a Eurobarometer only a few days ago showing that overall in the European Union citizens are in favour of this, because they can see that trade has made us prosperous in the European Union, and this is something we need for growth and jobs as well.
The Commission has also been challenged in court for not accepting a citizens' initiative petition against the TTIP, which has so far collected almost 1.5 million signatures in 21 countries.